when I'm walking down the street.
I do want to say to Donnie and many of you in this room that over a very long career in this city, all of you have helped me and my colleagues tell the truth and to try to tell.
I may not look like you and you me, but
Take my hat up.
I'm from South Carolina, so I just...
You got it.
What does this event mean to you, Miss Peggy Morris?
Oh, my heart.
Happy 20th anniversary.
My heart is about loving up on my sisters. Do you know what it feels like to have your sisters in the room? John.
And dare to be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting His glory shine through. I am beautiful, I am blessed, but not just what you see in the flesh. I'm free from people, free from myself.
The doctor lived next door to the janitor, to the reverend, and the lawyer. We were together. Now we get so high and mighty that you create stress for your society because you don't like poor black folks either. That's a health problem. Get yourself together so I can stop being taking care of geriatric people and get back to pediatrics. I thank you, Donnie, for all you've done. Let's keep doing it all and more.
Letting His glory shine through. Dare to be you, dare to be me, dare to be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting His glory shine through. And I dare you, I dare you, I dare you to be you.
First name's Donnie, last name's Glover. Entered the winner for the long haul, baby. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. And it's Monday, April 24th. Let's get the ball rolling. We were up in New York on Friday for Black Wall Street. We met Mr. Wayne Smith, former mayor of Irvington, New Jersey. Good morning, Wayne Smith.
Hey, Donnie, glad to be with you again. Enjoyed Friday immensely. Your work around educating people about Black Wall Street is phenomenal, and honoring those who are putting in the work on the local level is phenomenal.
So today we get a chance to talk directly to a native of Newark, New Jersey.
Absolutely.
Newark's own.
Yeah, okay, absolutely. Mayor Baraka says, tell people you're proud to be from Newark.
That's what Mayor Ross Baraka says.
Yes, absolutely.
So for those who may not know, Ross Baraka comes from a family of Newark leaders. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. So the world-renowned poet, activist, Amiri Baraka, who did so many things locally and in helping the election of Kenneth Allen Gibson, the first Black mayor in the city of Newark, but was a national leader in that he convened in Newark one of the first national convening of political leaders and economic leaders and social leaders and activist leaders from around the country right there in Newark. In fact, Mayor Baraka was trying to replicate that with the mayor of Jackson, Mississippi this summer, but I think they've held it off until sometime in the very near future. But yeah, so he comes from great lineage. He has taken that energy from that great lineage and put it into his political activities, where he got elected mayor of Newark, his hometown and my hometown. Now,
Also a little Newark history. When the riots went down,
we call it the rebellion.
The rebellion. When the rebellion went down, a lot of people might have been their first time seeing Newark, but Newark made national news.
No doubt about it. So as you say in your book, and I got opportunity to dig deep into your book, you talk about that period in the 1960s. I grew up in Newark when the rebellion occurred, and very much like history repeating itself today, we had a number of instances about police brutality. At that time, Newark police force was significantly a white police force, and Newark was facing extreme poverty, obviously segregation. Most of the blacks were in the central ward of the city. And some things were happening throughout the city. So it catapulted into, I remember, because I spent a significant part of my career in the insurance business, that this brother who was in the insurance industry, who went around collecting insurance premiums from the neighborhood. Many people might remember when insurance agents actually came to your house and collected the money. So he got accosted by the police. So, at that time, people said, well, he wasn't out there in the street doing anything negative. Why would you attack a man like this? So organizations like CORE and Minority Business and others led a protest. At now, the Mayor Baraka is turning into a community center. And so, so a lot of people who maybe their first image of Newark was those rebellions in the 60s.
Now, one last thing, Newark has had its share of black mayors.
Yes, they have.
Was one of them named Sharp?
Sharp James, an
Sharp James.
Friend, Sharp James, who made. So let's do a quick walk down Newark's black mayors. I mentioned Amiri was very helpful in the election of Kenneth Allen Gibson, who was the first African American on the Northeast to be elected mayor in 1970, a major city. And then he served until
what was his name?
1986.
What was
Kenneth
his name?
Allen Gibson. He was a engineer. Kenneth Allen Gibson. So Ken Gibson was an engineer. He had been active in Newark. Before 1970, he ran for mayor in 1966. Newark had a very corrupt regime. U.J. Adonisio was the mayor, and he was indicted for federal corruption. And so did very well in 1966. So in 1970, it became almost a national challenge. Many financially for Kenneth Gibson against the late he served until 1986. Sharp James ran on a ticket with Kenneth Allen Gibson for councilman. And Ken was a civil engineer. His style was a little different from Newark. Though in Ken's term, Ken became of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. And one of the things he made significantly popular quote about Newark that even Mayor Baraka uses today is that wherever American cities are going, Newark would. So Sharp's style was a little different. Sharp James, more of a super salesman, took it to the next level. People served because they have a certain and Corey served the United States Senate, followed by Mayor.
So we're having some challenges. I'm not sure if the streaming is working on you, and we kind of have some intermittent delays in there. But tell us about yourself, Wayne.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, so as you said, I was born and raised in the city of Newark, product of its public schools, went to a very small college in New Jersey called Bloomfield College. And after Bloomfield, I just started to look around at what I could do to make a living. And so one of the areas that I got engaged in very early was the insurance business. And as a young 20-year-old, I got very active and was very aggressive and did rather well in the sales and marketing end of the insurance business. And so, one of my ventures, and you and I both share a lineage of promoting and supporting and working in Black businesses. Your dad was a super mortician in the Maryland area. And so though my father wasn't in business, I always latched on to mentors in business. So I met a guy named John Watts who took me from what they called the debit line of insurance to a more upscale market. So I began to do group health and life insurance. I began to cover Head Start agencies, and so the commissions were significantly bigger and greater. I learned a great deal more about group health insurance, and so I did well in that market. And during that period of time, which is in the early 80s, and I shared this story with you at the Black Wall Street event Friday night, was right down the street from where the Harlem Business Alliance is, on the corner of 125th, which is now Malcolm X Boulevard, but people know it, some people know it formerly known as Lenox Avenue. We had a block where a company called United Mutual Life, African-American owned insurance company, vis-a-vis like North Carolina Mutual, but based in Harlem, started in the 1920s, licensed in 4 states, New York, New Jersey, Washington, D.C., and of the Virgin Islands. My boss, I began to sell some of their products. They had a product that was marketed for seniors that didn't ask medical questions. You see all these commercials from big companies now targeting that market, no medical. So they did it back in the 80s. That was one of their key markets. So I got a brokerage contract with them and began to put some significant numbers on the board. And so I got a call from a young man who's still a friend today, Mike Sanders, who had taken on the role of director of marketing for this company. He said, "We'd like to have you come in and talk with us." So I came in, and
so you coming from New Jersey?
From New Jersey, yeah. So they were licensed in New Jersey, so I got a license, a brokerage license, sold their products in New Jersey, and did well with it. So they called me in. They said, "You're doing really well with some of our products. We'd like to talk to you." So they were just redeveloping their management team. So Mike Sanders, who was from Teaneck, New Jersey, actually, he had went to Fairleigh Dickinson University, and he had became their director of marketing. So I said, "Sure, I'll be happy to come in." So we had a meeting, and they introduced me to the president, who was a CPA and an attorney, but didn't know a lot about the life insurance. His name was Jim Howard. He's deceased now. And the chairman of the board was a very prominent Harlem realtor named Eugene Webb, who was a big real estate guy. I'm sure if you talk to Walter Edwards, he'll tell you who Eugene Webb is. And then on the board of this particular company at that time, he was the city clerk of the City of New York, was David Dinkins, who became the first Black mayor of the City of New York. So they said, "Listen, we'd like to recruit you." And so one of the sales pitches they made, "We don't know if you'll become president of Prudential, if you ever got a job at Prudential, but we know you can be president here." So that kind of sold me, because I was making, I probably could have made more money on commission than to take a position with them. So in the car and expense account and all that, I was young in my 20s. I bit. And so we had a very significant run. And one of the products that we developed there, and I'll tell you, it's an interesting story, Donnie.
Yeah, you're going to let me get some questions in, Wayne.
Yes, sir. Okay. All right.
And a preacher and a politician.
Don't say that. I might lift the offering. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm a pause there.
Well, one thing I wanted to know, since you're a history buff, now this is a challenge. Mm-hmm. We're about to test your mettle. This is some hard history. Are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you know who was the godfather of Harlem, or the father of Harlem? From a real estate perspective, he was the first Black man doing real estate deals in Harlem.
I don't know that. I don't know that one. Who you?
I stumped you. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
His name was Philip Payton.
Okay. That name does ring a bell.
One of the first deals he did was between 2 white property owners in Harlem who were having a beef. He got in the middle of it, made the transaction, and from there on, he started becoming known as the first Black person to start renting to Harlem residents, the Black Harlem residents.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because Harlem was white then, I would assume, right? And the real estate was owned primarily by whites.
Okay, so here's another question that came to me. This is a New Jersey question. Now,
okay,
you got both books, and
I finished one. I started the other. Yeah, I did.
All right, well, we got to have a book review for you. In I Am Black Wall Street, I write about. So I Am Black Wall Street looks into the history of Tulsa.
Tulsa, absolutely. I started it.
And I make the point that there were other independent Black communities, such as the one founded in Tulsa's Greenwood district.
Oh, absolutely. All over the country.
Including there in New Jersey. There's a place called
Lawnside.
No, I just lost it. They call it the Cradle of Emancipation, Burlington, New Jersey.
Oh, Burlington. Yeah, Burlington, that was one of the Underground Railroad locations was based there as well. And Lawnside was one of the first independent Black communities in New Jersey. Lawnside is down in southern New Jersey, not that far from Burlington, but there's Black. And let me tell you something. The Newark that I grew up in had significant Black business owners. My mother was a cook, and she worked for, quick analogy, down the street from the Harlem Business Alliance where we were Friday, there's a restaurant called Sylvia's. You probably heard of Sylvia's.
Of course.
Yes. So in New Jersey, we had a woman named Miss Stewart, Amelia Stewart, who was our Sylvia. She started out with a little hole in the wall on Avon Avenue. My mother cooked there for a short time, and then she expanded to a nice location on Lyons Avenue in Newark. And I was a bus boy as a kid. We used to get up on the weekends. I would go on the weekends, and we'd get up 5 o'clock in the morning because the restaurant opened at 7 for breakfast. And Miss Stewart paid me well for a bus boy. I made ching, ching, ching as a young kid. And but the important lesson I learned from that was that she employed a ton of people, cooks, waitresses, dishwashers. And her brother next.
That right there.
That's Black Wall Street. Absolutely. And so the Newark that I grew up with, whether it was the cleaners, the local candy store, all those stores were owned by Black folks. And that changed significantly in my lifetime, where everybody else owns the stores and the Black business community has less and less. So there's a trend, and to Mayor Baraka's credit, he's promoting an agenda of Black business. And one of the things I tried to do as mayor in Irvington was be very inclusive of making sure on the development front, Black people got significant deals, and we were able to do that. And one of the awards I'm most proud of receiving, in addition to yours, Friday, was I did receive an award called Group when I was mayor. And there's a young lady who's getting national press that, I play a significant role in helping her. Adina Bayo, she's a young lady from Liberia and worked at McDonald's when she was a kid. She's from Newark, but invested significantly in Irvington. She did an IHOP. She owns an IHOP in Brooklyn, New York. She's looking to expand. She'll create a chain called Cornbreads. That's franchising now. She's also a major real estate development. We were able to sell her a 6-acre site that she turned into affordable housing. Awesome. And she's got a development right across the street from Newark City Hall. I mean, that's how significantly Adina is growing. And in fact, I'm doing some business in your area, Maryland. I own some property there as well. And so we're looking to see if we can bring a Cornbreads into the Maryland area as a franchise. It's a farm to table soul food place. Very good.
Because you have farmland in New Jersey.
We do. The people don't know that New Jersey is called the Garden State. And mostly in the southern part of the state, you have agriculture. Jersey is big in agriculture. And Rutgers University has an agricultural school. A lot of people, when you think of Rutgers, you don't think of agriculture, but they do have an agricultural program as well. And food is going to be one of the challenges as we look at what's happening in the world. There are food shortages. In our community, we got a different issue. We got food deserts where some people don't have access to quality food and so forth.
So let's get to the mayorship. How far is Irvington, where you were mayor, from Newark?
So this is how close it is. You could be on one side of the street and you're in Newark, and on the other side of the street, you're in Irvington. You could be in the middle of the block and could walk from one side is Newark, the other side is Irvington. So it's part of an urban core of Newark being the largest city, but there are 4 significantly Black communities that are clustered together in a county called Essex. And so it's Newark, Irvington, East Orange, and Orange. Very much like your Prince George's County and Baltimore, they're a cluster of Black political activity. Black economic activity is actually coming back to some degree. And so that's how close Irvington is. And, you know, we're half an hour from New York City by car, 15 minutes by train. And,
So,
when you...
how did you get into politics?
So business kind of let me into politics. It was both a personal and community spirit that led me into politics. And so one of the strategies one of my mentors told me in business, and I was in the insurance business, was that if you want to meet people who are influencers, who can buy your product and then refer you to significant individuals and institutions, get involved locally. Volunteer, help out when you can. So my first strategy was to get involved with a lot of community organizations. And I did that and became known for being.
That's a great point. Get involved in your community, some kind of way, by hook, something positive, community associations, political clubs, whatever, but get in the know. That's where it's at. You find out who's who, what's what, who has money, who contributes, who's a Democrat, who's a Republican, etc.
Yeah, and then if people see you around, and you and me and you both are sticklers for this. If you say you're going to do something, do it. Then I'm known as a person who gets things done, who lives up to their word, and so then they begin to trust you. So then when they think of referrals,
I gotta ask you. Tell me about honoring your word as a Black man.
Well, yeah. So I grew up with the ethos of your word is your bond, and your bond is life. And so if nothing else, your money can be short, but your word can be like gold. If people know you as a person that says they're going to keep their word and do something, then they'll take risks with you that they won't take with other people. They'll give you opportunities that they won't give other people, because they know if you say you're going to do something, 99.9% of the time you're going to get it done. So that's a very significant thing. Sometimes all you have is your word.
See, that's where I want to commend you, because when you're in politics, you are an open book.
No doubt about it.
If you were just in business, you could be a little, sheltered. But when you are known for being in politics,
well, you're a public figure.
You're a public figure.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get called on the carpet.
No doubt about it.
Wayne Smith this or Wayne Smith that. Donnie Glover this or Donnie Glover that. It's no hiding.
That's right. And what you hide, people will find out. They'll investigate and discover. We call that what they call, and if you had a political campaign, it's called opposition research.
That little dirty stuff in the corner you don't want nobody to know about.
Absolutely, and it could be small and insignificant, but as if both of us are PR people, we can magnify something that it's a mountain when we finish with it. So, you
we talking
have
about,
to
talking about drugs,
business
about
and life.
drugs, mass incarceration, the woman across town, the family across town, the child you never claimed, the child support, the mortgages, the bankruptcy, anything is all fair.
Absolutely, all that becomes all that becomes part of the public. And listen, in my lifetime, I've seen what is acceptable to the public shift significantly when you talk about that. I'll give you an example. They made certain mistakes in life, wasn't going to make it in the public realm because they would kill you before you got out the gate.
Not true.
And I tell you when I begin to notice the shift. Huh?
Not true. I know a cat who was in prison and is now in the state legislature.
No, that's evolving. That's evolving, and that's what I'm saying. I think a major shift. So if we go back to the 60s and 70s, that was not going to happen back then. And just the mere rumor, because people would start rumors on you to kill your political career. But I think that began to shift. And I'm going to tell you who, for me, became the first one I noticed that sometimes you can rise above any storm was Bill Clinton. So the average politician. No, hear me out. Hear me out.
He got a certain insurance card.
No, I get that. But Gary Hart. You remember Gary Hart?
Yeah,
Gary Hart was United States.
What did they get him on?
He was United States.
He had a family.
Well, yeah, he was United States Senator from, I think, Colorado, was running for president. And Inquirer did a story on him on a yacht with the woman's, I think her name was Donna Rice. And Bill Clinton was accused of 4 or 5 of those kind of incidents. It got on 60 Minutes with Hillary. He survived all that, including Monica Lewinsky in the White House. In fact, I was in Washington when I was in office.
I did not have sex with that woman.
Yeah. Well, listen, I was in Washington at the Watergate. Was it Watergate? Not the Watergate. It was a hotel near the Watergate. And I was a councilman then. And I was going to have lunch at the, I forget the name of the hotel, but they had Monica Lewinsky get ready to go up on the hill. They had her under guard. They shut the restaurant down. I'm getting ready to go in the restaurant, and she's in there. I said, well, they said, you can't come in because we got Monica Lewinsky. We getting ready to take her up on the hill. So to me, that was kind of like the first major scandal I saw a political figure survive, and it didn't happen. But so now the day is a different day. Stuff that people did when I was coming up in politics, we wouldn't dare even try it. So the ethos of look at Donald Trump. I mean, from the interview he did, would tell what he would do to a woman, all those kinds of things were death kneels to a political career. And it doesn't matter. He seems to just, like the Teflon Don, keep on moving.
He's tapped into a very ugly part of America.
That's absolutely true. Absolutely.
That demonstrates that we have a demographic that will do anything to overcome entitlement. Some people think this country is only theirs, even though our ancestors fought and died for it, built it.
No doubt about it.
Those that have a mentality that goes back to the 16th, 17th, and 18th century. Okay, so all right, tell me about the book. What did you read? Did you learn anything in the book that you want to share?
Well, I think that we go through cycles as a community where some of those things that you point out in the book, we get seminal moments that get us folk back. And so, whether it's Garvey, people like Adam Clayton Powell, folks who Parent Mitchell, folks who, in addition say to us, we have in addition to civil rights, we also got to take civil rights. And so it does anywhere if you can't have the ability to school or university in the country if you can't afford to get in. So we have to figure out, how do we get an economic claim in this country and use the trillions of dollars as a collective to bring back to those traditions of Garvey and Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm, and those traditions of, we've got to figure out how to get our economic house in order and leverage our political activity for that. It's not politics. It's not just economics. It's not just our spiritual foundations. All of it, educational foundation. It's all of it collectively together are all strategy. Now, some people will have more core strengths than others. Some people will gravitate in education. Some people will gravitate in the spiritual world. But all of it has to be paid for, no matter what you do. And if we don't have an economic agenda, and I think your book calls us back to that, or calls us to reminds us of that we have to have some of this earth of our own. We have to have a business climate of our own. We have to build those Black institutions, and particularly businesses that, regardless of the political climate, are still making money that keeps our people moving. I think it was one religious scholar who said, politics without economics is symbols without substance.
God dang, say that again. Say it again.
That politics without economics is symbol without substance. Because even if you run for office, let me tell you something. You want to know one of the greatest entrepreneurial pursuits it is? Running for public office. Let me tell you what I mean.
Right. It's a business.
It's a business. You have to raise the capital to run. You have to market yourself.
It's a startup.
There you go. And so and so I tell people, there's politics, and then there's the business of politics. And as you point out in your book, politics is one of the ways that you determine who gets what,
when, and where.
Yeah, when. Yeah. So, and it's not the end all or be all to all of our problems, but it is one tool. Yeah, it's one tool that we must use effectively. And so,
I got to jump in there, Wayne.
Go ahead, please.
We are so Democrat. Our people, we're heavily Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
It's always made me ask, what is the return on that investment? Because as Black Democrats, most of us,
mm-hmm.
we got a serious problem with Republicans. Except for those of us who understand business.
Right.
Because those of us who understand business know we better have some Democratic friends, but we better have some Republican friends too, especially if you plan on being in business. Amen?
Yeah. So as a strategy, we have to understand the philosophy that these folks use to run the country. And it's, you look at Machiavelli, who said, no permanent friends, no permanent enemies, only permanent interests. So other folks will be staunch Democrats. And when it's convenient, they'll support a Republican. So here's the challenge for us. And you're a student of history. Prior to Roosevelt, the Black community was predominantly Republican. And part of that stems from the falsehood that Lincoln frees the slaves. Emancipation Proclamation got signed, so he gets credit for that. And so many of Dr. King's father was a Republican. So there were many of us, there was a whole lineage of Black Republicans. And you point out in your book, former Lieutenant Governor Michael Steele. Those were moderate civil rights Republicans who understood that they had to try to be as fair as they could. The Bob Doles, they were a lot of people were fiscal conservatives that manage a budget, but you have to put on the table. The problem with the National Republican Party is they've gotten off the fundamental fairness and some economic equity issues. And so many Black people in the Black community find it horrible because you got the mega Republicans right now. But that's not always been the case. In New Jersey, we had a governor named Tom Keene, who was a massive moderate Republican, got elected, got a third of the Democratic vote in the state. A significant number of Black people voted for him as well, because he was the kind of guy. His family was very wealthy. They gave a tremendous amount of money to a local university, but they were very charitable as a family. So the Boys and Girls Clubs in the urban communities were big. They were big charitable. People knew them. So there's different faces to the Republican Party.
Just like different faces to the Democrats.
Now listen. Let's talk about the Dixiecrats. So many people in history don't know that some of the most racist Southerners, and that's where Nixon developed the Southern strategy, because Strom Thurmond and them were Democrats who upheld segregation. Hell, George Wallace was a Democrat, and so Nixon actually took the Southern white segregationists, that same group that Trump has now re-engaged. But not to dwell on that too much, I do want to make a point that you make as well. American politics is not complicated. We used to say this on the local level. We used to tell young people, they're 18 years old, they say, you know what? You could run the city. They say, what do you mean? Well, if it takes 5,000 votes to be mayor, right? And it was a small municipality. You got 5,000 friends. It may be 5,000 that go to the high school. You get them registered to vote, and they go to the polls and pick. There was a young man that was 18 years old. Jalen Smith, young man that just got elected mayor somewhere, very young. Another guy, a kid, a few years ago got elected. They were like 18. Whoever gets the most people to the polls in any election, national, statewide, countywide, local, is who wins the election. And whoever can expand the electorate will win an election. I give you two current examples.
Arkansas City.
Impossible for Barack Obama. Well, no, listen to this. This is national. People, when Barack Obama, not yet finished a full term as United States Senator, said he was going to run for president, what did the pundits and the political experts say? Not going to happen.
Still with us, Wayne?
He engaged. Yeah, he engaged a whole new group of people. You hear me?
Yes.
He engaged a whole new group of people. African Americans, in particular, voted untold numbers, and we had a Black president. Negatively, Donald Trump woke up the people who were questionable about even voting.
We had a Black president.
Yeah,
he tapped into that 8 years of disdain.
Yeah, but listen, so he woke up a lot of those folks that did not vote because they were mad about Barack Obama, and he got them to the polls. The experts said, ain't no way he gonna win. I was one of them. But he got people.
I saw it coming. I remember the look on his face at 3 o'clock in the morning when he realized
I'm gonna call you Prophet Donnie.
I saw it, and then I remember his first speech about 3 o'clock in the morning, and he had changed some of his butthole personality. He started for the first time to kind of sort of act presidential, but he was he's the ugly side of America that is real. And if you're going to accept politics, I guess that's the part that one has to accept.
Well, he who gets the most votes wins. And I tell you, young people, to me, save the country in second term, because as quiet as kept, because of the student loan crisis, because of Bernie Sanders, more young black and whites voted in the Biden election. And then the midterms, a significant number of people, they couldn't figure out where they came from. Those were young people, came out and voted on the midterms because they didn't want the Republicans to take control of the United States Senate. So it's a simple formula in politics. It's no magic. You can take all the political science you want. He who gets the most people out to the poll wins, period. Especially on a local level. If you are an organizer of people and you can influence them to vote, you become a power player.
All right, sell your business. Make some sales today. I'm gonna give you the screen. Why should people call you? And you got a phone number that you want me to put up here for you, or contact information?
Yeah, 973.
Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Work with me here.
Okay, no problem. So Donnie, we're in similar businesses. You have a more direct media focus. Mine is more of a PR and governmental relations effect, but we need to figure out how we partner on some things.
We do that too. We help people get elected.
Yeah, absolutely. So
okay,
and I know that. 973-204-5639.
All right, now I think people should call you and should learn as much as they can about what you do. So I'm gonna give you the screen. Is that right?
Yep, that's absolutely correct. So we are a PR and marketing firm. We do government affairs. We also do significant work around urban redevelopment and urban development. We help companies navigate city governments. We also have a division that's working on a major broadband project around the country. So elected officials who are trying to figure out what to do about your broadband issues around the internet. We found out during the pandemic that a lot of our community didn't have access to internet. Some local governments, both large and small, don't have the appropriate broadband for their police departments, their fire departments. We have an operation can help you with that. We also do have a division that does graphic design work, and got to get my wife's business in. She does Dazzling and Styles. I'm a chief marketing consultant for her, which is a curated costume jewelry company. And so we do a host of those things in those areas. I really appreciate Donnie's effort to promote our firm and our business. And we look forward to collaborating with him on some projects. Again, I've bought a property in the Maryland area, so we're expanding our operations into the Maryland, DC area. And so I look forward to collaborating with him as we build and help not just black businesses, but major corporations and other small businesses grow significantly.
So are you still in Newark?
I'm in Springfield, New Jersey, outside of Newark. I have an office in Newark at 59 Market Street. And as I said, I have a office in Hanover, Maryland as well.
We've never done a Black Wall Street in New Jersey. And we certainly haven't been to Brick City with the program. So I think a Black Wall Street Newark, a Black Wall Street Brick City is definitely something that should happen. It should have been happened, truth be told, but we'll leave that alone for now.
Yeah, so we'll work on that, and I'm gonna tell you, you have a diamond in Tasmere, who actually had me on her program as I gave this, And so she's doing some work in Newark. Um, she did a pitch competition in Newark. One of my clients actually won the pitch competition. Integrate Schools. Integrate Schools is a company that does curriculum software. We're in 7 school districts around the country, looking to expand as well. And so, between and I think Tasmere has something going on in New Jersey coming up on April the 30th. But between the two of us, we should be able to make that happen. And I think that's a great initiative. Maybe we can use my Newark office as the site, and let's see if we can do this. Set a date and see if we can get it going.
What's your message to the people?
Well, my message to the people is I'm going to stay with your theme. We have a significant opportunity to assist Black businesses, one, consume them, use them, utilize them, and then refer them to others. But we have to grow an economy, and then our allies out there, who, whether you're inside of a major corporation, you're a small business owner, we bring value to all the things that we do. But we do have to develop a significant Black business class that significantly employs our people, employs other people as well. And let's keep our money as much as we can within our community.
I appreciate you plugging your wife's business. It is very important. A wise woman told me that, we have to make our significant others, make sure that we make them a part of our business.
No doubt about it. So she runs a lot of the administration of mine, and so I do the marketing of hers. And listen, America's foundation is family business. And
I wanted you to speak to that, how important it is. Sometimes I see in other communities a divorce happens, but the business still goes on and nobody gets out of that, works too hard to get out of that lane. So as the goal is to not mess up the business.
No, absolutely.
Even though the love has gone, the
love is gone.
But we're seeing it more and more in our community, understanding whatever you do, don't mess up the business. Don't mess up the business.
Well, marriages are a merger. We have to begin to think about our life partner as a merger. So when you sit down, the romance, that should manage itself. What attracts you to another person, all that. But now but you can't eat romance. You got to be able to figure out how your complementary skills grow the economic part of your relationship. How are we going to merge our assets and our liabilities? So, they tell people now you pick a life partner, make sure you check their credit status. So you want to make sure that you ain't taking on a liability.
Check the bankruptcy record.
Everything. Make sure that he got a business or a job that can take care of itself.
Check the family tree.
Absolutely. So all of those become important. And I would suggest every family do what I tell every church and nonprofit organization to do. Do a skills inventory. You need to know what everybody in your family can do. If you got IT people in your family, you got electricians in your family.
That's
So then you can, So that way,
the root of our networking events. I've found, Wayne, that in your community, in my community, there could be a plumber next door. There could be a carpenter next door, a banker next door. And one of the big challenges in our community, you remember the Green Book. We don't know our assets. We don't know who has a Black business, because as much as we had a legacy of us in the struggle, more so together, be it because of Jim Crow, slavery, what have you. Now that we've made some steps towards progress, we've also taken on this certain individualism.
Well, yeah, and you can't do nothing by yourself. You can't do nothing by. So I'm gonna give you an example of what happened for me at the Black Wall Street, Harlem. So Edward, I hadn't seen him in years. He reminded me when you were mayor, I came over to look at some real estate development projects. I sent him a project that I'm working on in Newark right now. So see if he had some potential investors or he wanted to invest or get involved himself. You had two gentlemen from New York Life who were there. One of them had town after I was mayor, but he wanted to know if there was some possibilities. So I sent him a real estate deal that I'm working on in the town served as mayor to take a look at. Tasmere. Yeah, there you go. So, you know, and one of the things that you're big on, we're both big on, is attending events and making sure that you network with a purpose. You know, not just to, you know, just to promote yourself, but see what you can do to bring value to other people, and then follow up. And so,
if we're not taking advantage of those opportunities, if it's all about a party, if it's all about some cocktails, and we miss the whole point of the business, then what have we done? We've done no more than had a fancy party.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true.
And we didn't get any business done. That's just been my experience. And so quite often, with all due respect, I tend to like to do the business events real short, to the point, but without the fanfare that comes with happy hours, that comes with a bunch of liquor or at the cannabis spot.
Listen. So I
do the business, and you know.
No, I appreciated the spirit that took place on Friday, because it was, you know, it was a business atmosphere.
We start off with prayer.
Yeah. But prayer without works is dead.
That's why we work.
Yeah, no. So it was, you know, it's a very, very positive event. And so lastly, I do want to say to you that you've taken on one of the most significant challenges our community faces in dealing with issues about reentry and mass incarceration. That's a serious economic issue for our community.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, I got to tell you a quick story. So when I was mayor, we dealt with some of these issues, and I was a member of the United States Conference of Mayors, and Mayor Sheila Dixon was the mayor of Baltimore at the time. We co-chaired the first committee on reentry for the United States Conference of Mayors. We were appointed by he was the president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. He was from Doug Palmer. Doug has a consulting firm out there now as well. And so we thought, you know, we strategized, the Mayor Dixon and I, we didn't know how many mayors would show up at our session, our workshop on reentry. White, black, plaid, it did not matter. Latino, mayors pulled in from urban cities around the country, workshop. We didn't have enough room. And so we found, and this was early 2000, maybe 2004, that mayors began to recognize that if they didn't have a strategy to assist returning citizens, then recidivism was going to be the order of the day. And so the
70%.
U.S. Conference of Mayors began a whole little bit, but yeah, so it's an issue to do as much as we got to get back into the economic mainstream, so they don't get caught up in things after the prison system in the first place.
Good deal. All right, Wayne Smith, we got to bring you back so we can do this again. You let me know when you want to come back on the show, but we thank you for taking time out. We've touched on some key topics that are very important to our community. Again, I thank you for purchasing the books, and we got to bring you on the show. Matter of fact, you should have a show on this network.
Well, we can certainly work that out. I'll be happy to talk to you about that.
And the biggest thing is passing the ball to those, coming behind us.
Absolutely.
Good deal. Wish you a top of the morning to you, and good morning, world.
Thank you.